Okay.
Well, let's just chat a little bit. Hello, John and Avril.
Hi, Neil. It's so good to be with you.
It's great to be with you too. And I'll do an official welcome once we've let a couple more people join us. But if you have logged on already, welcome. And welcome to Missions Week 2020 at King of Kings. And we've got John and Avril here and a goat. Does goats have a name?
Snowy.
Snowy the goat.
Snowy the goat, yes.
That reminds me of Tintin.
But I'm not sure that Snow is the right name because it had horns, so I think that's male.
Well.
So maybe Snow is not so. In any case, Snowy is from our Living Hope farm, and we've got a whole lot of goats and some little kids. We had triplets born the other day.
Can you
That is
imagine
so
triplets? We weren't expecting the mom to have triplets. Came into work the one day and there are 3 little kids.
Oh.
And only one mother that seemed to have had the baby. It was unbelievable.
Yes, that's right.
Wow.
Wow, so glad I never had triplets.
And Snowy could actually be one of the triplets because
It was one of the early births this year.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I'm sure we've had a couple more people join us on Facebook, and just if you missed our opening hello, welcome to Missions Week at King of Kings 2020, and we've got a very exciting program tonight where we're going to be celebrating 20 years of Living Hope. And I've got with me Avril and John Thomas, who are the founders of Living Hope and still very much involved in leading, and Avril is the program director and John is the executive director, and we're just going to have a lot of fun tonight. As you can see, we have a goat with us that should hopefully set the tone, and it's a party. It's a celebration of what God has done at Living Hope for the last 20 years, and we're just so excited. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We can't
Wonderful
wait
to
to
be
hear
with
what you've got to share.
Thank you, Neil. Great to be with you.
It really is. Thank you, Neil. Thank you to the missions committee that have arranged this. And we're looking forward to tonight. We really are looking forward to lots of fun. And maybe Avril can just try and explain why the goat and a little bit of how she came to know the Lord and her growing up.
Yes, well, I grew up on a farm in Zimbabwe, and I used to love raising sheep and little goat kids like this. Really loved it, real farm girl. And when I was 12 years old, that's when I received Jesus into my life. And as I look back, it was almost immediate. I had this desire, this strong desire to tell people about Jesus. And so from that age, from when I accepted Jesus into my life, I wanted to share the love and the hope that Jesus brings. And so it's been a journey. It's been a journey for me. It didn't all happen when I was 12 years old, although there were times that I used to go and share my faith with other people, other children, other young people. But it's just been a wonderful journey serving God for the last how many ever years it is. And so my journey began when I was 12. And I think something that I learned then is that somebody said to me, you know, Avril, it's not your ability. It's your availability that matters to God. And that has been something I've carried through my life. And I just give God praise that I can be here today.
Wonderful.
And just in terms of my life, because I know we've got children here, I came to know the Lord really when I was 8 years old, when an evangelist was preaching on the devil going around like a roaring lion. And I'm not sure whether it was the imagery or whatever, but God used that. And I still have a little record card when I received Jesus into my life when I was actually in grade 3. So I was a young grade 3, so I was probably just about 8 at that time. And then, but really my faith came to fruition in grade 11. And on Saturday morning, when you tune in, I share a little bit of that testimony of what really woke me up as a Christian. Up until then, I was a little bit quiet. So this goat is because we're celebrating Living Hope, and Living Hope is a farm, amongst other things. And at Living Hope, we've got goats, and we've had I don't even know how many babies we've had born this kid babies
You've
born
got 10.
this season. And this is one of the early triplets, about a month or two old now, I think. And so we just thought we'd bring him down, and he's going to leave us in a moment, and then we'll bring him back in to the program again. But right now, we've put together, Neil, a video because on the 12th of September, that's Saturday, Living Hope turns 20 years old. On the dot. So this missions conference couldn't have been at a better time. And so we're 3 days short of being formally registered as a trust, and I put this video together actually last week with the help of some guys. So
just before we play this video, if I can also just say, I know we've got some of our missionaries joining us.
Oh, yes.
And some of them have birthdays as well.
Woo-hoo!
And so I just want to say a big happy birthday, Chris Maposa. It's his birthday. He's one of our missionaries. And Chris, if you're watching right now, we just want to say a big happy birthday from King of Kings to you as well. And Bernice Anderson, her birthday is on Sunday.
Wow.
And so we've got Living Hope and a couple of other birthdays, but we're going to watch that video now. And John and Avril, I'm going to leave you. That way you'll be able to take your masks off if you'd like to. And I believe Snowy is going to be leaving us shortly too. But thank you so much for leading this time tonight. We're so looking forward to it.
Wonderful.
My name is John Thomas, and I'm the founder of Living Hope, along with Professor Barbara Robertson and Pastor Philip Moxon, without whom Living Hope would never have got going. Living Hope was conceived in November 1999 when I heard a false statistic that 44% of the people in our area, which is the South Peninsula of Cape Town, were HIV positive. It later turned out to be a false statistic. But that was what God used to kick me to start Living Hope. At that time, I was the pastor of King of Kings, which is the mother of Living Hope. And Living Hope still has a very important relationship with that church. We began in Masiphumelele and then bought our main campus in Capri. From there we went to Ocean View, then Red Hill, then Muizenberg, then Capricorn. Then we bought the farm behind our main campus in Capri, then Overcome Heights, and then finally into Mzimoshle in the Eastern Cape. God has miraculously provided for each of these properties. We've believed in the debt-free principle, and every property we have bought has been cash upfront. These buildings were, amongst others, a pub of ill repute, a brothel and a drug den, a failed nightclub, vacant land, a house, and farms. It has just been incredible to see how every need for Living Hope has been provided through these buildings. And we now have our main campus and 8 different branches. Buildings worth millions of rands have been built, which includes a hospital, offices, halls, farm training center, and in our 8 branches, which offer healthcare and life skill programs and much, much more. Living Hope is all about bringing hope and breaking the despair of poverty and disease. We exist to serve people through our 51 programs, which we've developed over the last 20 years. And these programs cover the entire range of life from the moment of conception until the moment of death. There are 5 major areas of programming: healthcare, family strengthening, life skills, substance abuse addiction recovery, and farmer training. A lot of our programs focus on women and children because we believe it is better to build a whole child than mend a broken man. We're all about caring for the sick, feeding the hungry, giving people clothes, breaking the chains of addictions and the shackles that have held people back in their lives, setting them free for a new future. We believe that the ultimate hope we can offer people is introducing them to God and having a personal relationship with Him. From our inception, we have been able to be at the cutting edge of the needs of our country and the communities we serve. We were there in the very early days of HIV and AIDS. We were able to build a hospital at the height of the AIDS pandemic, when people were dying, and offer them a place of compassion and dignity where they could spend their last days. We had already started farmer training when our country recognized the need for farmers, and we've been able to put farmers on the land. During the COVID-19 pandemic, which has just hit us, we've been able to offer over 300,000 interventions, spending over 6.6 million rand on feeding programs and countless healthcare interventions. When we began with one part-time employee, Graham Haddad. We now have over 200 full-time staff with many volunteers who together have been able to serve over 100,000 people per annum in recent years. Over the years, Living Hope has worked on the principle that excellence honors God, and so we've sought to get every possible accreditation and recognition so that we can be the best possible organization. We've had great partnerships with churches, schools, and universities from all over the world. Every year we've had between 20 and 25 teams who've come and served alongside people in the communities to serve them. And they've brought their skill and expertise and sponsorship. They've been generous donors from all over the world and from South Africa and the USA in particular, without whom we could never survive. We've had funding from local and provincial government, businesses, corporates, trusts, foundations, and individuals who've come alongside us to help Living Hope. We network with local non-profits in order to bring hope and break despair. We've seen a massive impact in the challenging areas in which we live as we seek to make a difference in the lives of, amongst others, the poorest of the poor. It's now September 2020, and we're exactly 20 years old. The question in my mind is, what will Living Hope look like in 2050 when it's 50 years old? I trust it will still be bringing hope and breaking despair, and that they'll be reaching 1 million people per year. With God's help, it's possible.
You know, I've been a pastor for about 20 years before I clicked that God had a heart for the poor and the needy. Yeah, I knew it in theory, but I basically thought I was there to help the Holy Spirit bring people to know Jesus in a personal way. And as long as I got a hand up and down on a Sunday type of thing, I've done my job. Now, and then one day, it suddenly hit me. God had a place in his heart for the poor and the needy, and I had missed it. 20 years a pastor, basically. And the scriptures that have really God has used in my life are Matthew 25 from verse 31, Isaiah 58, 6 and 7, and Micah 6, 8. And this next clip talks about Matthew 25 and verse 31.
A great story is told about Mother Teresa. A young man went to work with her on the streets of Calcutta, and there he was tending to the poor and the homeless. And after a couple of days, along comes Mother Teresa, and he was so excited. And she said to him, "Say, young man, why have you come here?" And he looked at this little old lady as though, like, "Woman, don't you know? I'm here to take care of the poor and the needy." And she looked at him and said, "Young man, wrong reason, go home." And he was flabbergasted. He said, "All around me are the poor and the needy. What do you mean wrong reason?" She said, "If you have not come here to love Jesus, you will fry." But if you've come here to love Jesus, you will find him dressed in the distressing disguise of the poor. You see, because Jesus said in Matthew 25, I was hungry and you fed me. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. As you start to work with the poor and the needy, you will find Jesus in a new way. You will find him dressed in the distressing disguise of the poor.
Did you notice that she said, if you want to really find Jesus, one of the ways you do it is to feed the hungry. Now we're going to tell you about some of Living Hope's programs in feeding the hungry, but we've got a bit of action coming up here now.
Have you ever been really hungry? So hungry that your tummy ached and you didn't know when you were going to get anything to eat. Well, at Living Hope, we have many children who don't know when they're going to have their next food. And so they come to Living Hope. And after clubs, we give them 2 slices of bread. We just put peanut butter or something for them to eat. Because Jesus tells us in the Bible to feed the hungry. And so just 2 slices of bread is what these children have. So next time you are eating a sandwich and you say, I don't like what's on there, just think of the children who that's the only meal they have, is when they come to Living Hope, they get 2 slices of bread and something in between. Be grateful for the food that you have and be ready to feed the hungry, like Jesus told us. And so at Living Hope, we do that because we want to share Jesus with the boys and girls. So you'll see up here, we've got 4 balloons. And I am going to ask somebody to get onto their computer and to pick one of the balloons. And the first person that sends us a message of which balloon you want, we're going to prick it, and there's a letter in it. So get onto your computer straight away, ask Mum and Dad to help you, and get onto it.
We're going to call that one the white balloon, and that one the grey balloon. And then you'll have to talk about one of the
John's
balloons.
blue or Avril's blue.
Oh, okay, John's blue or Avril's blue. Because there's a letter inside the balloon, and we want to hear and we've got to get that out because there's a secret clue, and we've got to figure that out.
Okay, there, Cheryl confused. Blue, which blue, Cheryl?
Oh, and Carla.
Which blue?
Second blue.
Second blue.
Second blue.
So it must be Avril's blue, because John's always first.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right. So yeah, we have the balloon, and now we're going to prick it. Don't shout. Sorry.
So Avril shouts. All right, and it's the letter E. E, everybody. Now we're going to form a word which has got 4 letters in, and you just got to remember that for the time being. E. Anyone want to guess what a 4-letter word could be with an E in it? We're just going to hold that for a second, and now let me tell you what is coming up next. You see, we do a lot of feeding, and you saw some of that in the Mother Teresa clip, but we're going to go next. Well, Candace and Caleb has guessed love. That's a good guess. Those are still. Any other guesses? Sherilyn Kaful, Echo, Sherilyn Clutie, Hope. Hope, all right. And somebody said, wow, Hope, Love, Echo.
These are clever
Good.
people.
We'll see what we're doing. Let's take the next video about feeding.
We're scared of virus. Everybody's scared in Massey. It's a small place, but we've got lots of people in Massey. We don't have any income. because of the lockdown, and then the food parcel that coming from Living Hope, they helping us.
COVID-19 affects all of us. For those who are unsalaried during this season of lockdown, the hunger has become almost intolerable. Hunger is rife in Masiphumelele. Living Hope has been allocated the food parcel and food voucher distribution system for Masiphumelele. As an NGO, we have the capacity to roll out this with many volunteers. This distribution is all about getting to those who are unsalaried at the moment and therefore desperately hungry. Over the past 10 days, we have been able to deliver in total 2,700 parcels. Each consignment is a parcel worth close on 450 Rand and should keep a family fed for about 14 days. One of the things that has really encouraged me is the incredible way how everybody in the valley has got involved. We have people who we've never met who come from advantaged areas and they say, we'll drive, whatever risks there are. People are willing to put their lives out there to say, we want to help our neighbors. We are one valley. We are one people. We have the spirit of Ubuntu here.
Not only do we provide parcels for people, but in Masiphumelele, one of the areas in which we work, we have, together with the community leaders, divided the area into 22 sections. And in each section, we have trained ladies there who are to cook with what is called a wonder bag. It's a big bag that you can, with styrofoam, where you start boiling the food and then you put the pot and the food into the wonder bag and it carries on cooking. And so we've been teaching these ladies how to cook with the wonder bag. And they are cooking for the people that are sick, the people that are old, and the people that are hungry because they have no way of getting money to buy food.
And that's happening right now. Huh?
Now, that is what is happening.
That's continuing. We're doing the food parcel store and the vouchers with COVID, but the Wonder Bag is a wonderful new project, and we're going to watch a video on Wonder Bags.
Wonderbag has partnered with Living Hope to feed many families in the impoverished community of Masiphumelele during the COVID-19 crisis. The pandemic has left many people without work and food, especially in our poorer communities. The community is separated into sections with community leaders who designate cooks who are trained to use the Wonder Bags. These foam-insulated bags can be used as slow cookers, saving many hours of time in cooking, as well as the cost of fuel and labor. Nourishing soups are provided for the elderly, those who are at risk of contracting COVID-19, young children, and those who have no income and are hungry. The Wonder Bag is empowering to the local people and frees up time for them to care for neighbors who are affected by the virus. The way to sustain this project is to get more people to join hands. We need to train more ladies, increase food donations, and connect each lady with a support group. You can help this project by donating to Living Hope, bringing hope, breaking despair.
Yes, it doesn't matter what age you are. If you would like to help us and help the mamas that are cooking in Masiphumelele, you are welcome to do that. It's time now for another balloon pop.
Yes.
So, let's see who's the first one to respond and tell us which balloon we should pop to find another letter. So give us which balloon, the white balloon, the John's blue, or the grey balloon. You send us a message on Facebook and we will pop the balloon to find the next letter.
And while we're waiting for them, what do you put in a Wonder Bag pot?
You know what? Rice. That's a wonderful way. So I've got some nice rice here.
Fantastic rice.
Fantastic
Fantastic
rice.
for Wonder Bags.
And lentils. You can cook sap. All kinds of amazing, nutritious food.
And do fresh vegetables go in there?
you can do those as well. You can add it to these.
And tell me, where do they get some of their fresh vegetables from?
You know, Living Hope has been growing some vegetables. And so once a week we harvest those vegetables and we give them a whole box of vegetables that they can add to these.
Into the one that
Yes.
nice organic broccoli and everything else. All right, Chris Maposa and Noxie have both chosen grey, so we're going to go with that. Oh dear. Sorry, Bastian and
Daisy, and I see there's others.
But the birthday boy Chris has told us this, and so let's hope Avril doesn't get a shark fright as she picks it.
This is very
Okay.
scary.
This way, here we go. Where's
Oh,
the...
here it is, here it is, here it is. What is the letter?
It is the letter
Oh.
O.
Right.
Right, now where are we going with this? With O, we
And
got
E.
E.
Wow.
We have had life and love, and love could fit into
Yeah,
there.
it could be love, it could be.
It could be. We also had some other words just now. Let's see what else you come up with. And so it's while we're waiting for some response on that. Feeding the hungry is what Jesus said we need to do. He said, "My sheep, if I was hungry and you fed me." And so part of what we're doing is all about feeding the hungry. But that's not the only thing Living Hope does. We do a whole lot more. And while we've got some ideas,
There's a word there, pole.
blue,
Bastian says pole.
pole,
Noxie says hope.
hope, Mary says hope.
Richard says blue.
That
Oh,
was
the
a blue
Pluties
balloon.
say. Oh,
The
Pluties
Pluties
say
did say hope already.
Granny shout. Oh dear. Okay. Any other suggestions of words?
Daisy, hope.
Hope. Okay,
Okay,
maybe.
Daisy.
Let's hope. Maybe the word is
And Serge says hope. Okay, we've got quite a few people going for hope, voting for hope. And we'll just wait for one more in case there are any more. But now we're going to switch gear away from the feeding into some stories of people whose lives have been changed, not through the feeding, but through another program. Let's listen to this video.
My name is Ruben White. Originally, I'm from the Eastern Cape. I've learned a lot since I came here. Yeah, because when I arrived here, my life was kind of a mess, having coming from a background of all the drugs and violence. I was an active addict, addicted with Dacha and Mandrex. They were able to help me because I was sent to a rehabilitation center, which is also part of Living Hope. When I look back into my life, I can say maybe I am grateful of my addiction, because if it wasn't for it, I wouldn't have met Jesus. I learned a lot because there's also a HTI program here, which is teaching students about farming. And they are not only teaching us how to farm, they are teaching us how to manage the business, and they are doing all those things free of charge. We are not paying even a cent here. It's amazing what they are doing. They are doing out of the love of God.
I'm Rashida. The moment I stepped into the doors of Living Hope is where I saw what Christianity is supposed to be like. I found the love I've been looking for because God truly lives in this place. He works through the people that is here in this place. Through them, I can feel the love that God has for me because He's put these people on my path. This is my new foundation because they are really focused on what they are doing. They're doing it unto the Lord. They are setting me up for a brighter, better future in Christ. Amen.
You just heard Ruben talking about farming and how he grew and learned to plant vegetables. And we've just run and got old Snowy from outside. And Snowy is one of the goats who's born on the farm. And we're so glad to be able to train men and women in how to farm both in animal husbandry and in vegetables. And wasn't Ruben's testimony amazing? How God changed his life. There he was, a student but he had an alcohol issue. And so he went off to our Muizenberg rehab, and God delivered him and set him free from that. And now he's farming. And we have another story coming up of another person who was set free from alcohol addiction. Alan, who is working at our healthcare center. And by the way, Nico, you know, we're trying to model what we teach about masks. So we're talking a little bit louder, and we believe that masking in our country is really a good and important thing. So we're going to up our volume and make it a bit more clearer. But let's take this story of how Alan got delivered and set free from addiction.
A little bit more than 5 years ago, I was walking down the road coming from a public hospital that couldn't help me with my addiction. And a miraculous sign from God came to me, and he told me to look left, and I saw the signboard of Living Hope. And I went into the healthcare centre, and they directed me to Living Hope Recovery Centre. And I went there, and I went through the recovery program. And through the grace of God, I can now turn around and say that I am 5 years in recovery, 5 years drug-free. And without that, I think today I wouldn't be here. So I'd just like to thank Living Hope for bringing hope into my life and breaking the despair of addiction, and for the Lord using them in such a wonderful way that was able to save my life. And I'm so glad today to be able to work for this wonderful organization. I now work at the healthcare center that the Lord led me to in the first place, and I'm able to be a part of God's work. Now I can enjoy my life with my wife and my 2 little children. All the glory goes to God for that.
Isn't that a great story of how God set Alan free? And Alan is still working at the Living Hope Healthcare Center. You know, in 2002, we were doing home-based care. And I heard about one of our patients who was so sick that a carer on a Saturday morning, this was when AIDS was at its height, took this patient to the False Bay Hospital. And no fault of False Bay Hospital, the beds were just jam-packed, they didn't have space. While they were checking this lady in, she lay down on the entrance foyer floor of False Bay Hospital and died. And I said, if I can help it, no person should have the tragedy of lying on a floor and dying. And so we built our healthcare center, and in 2004, the very first patient, you heard it, actually January 2005, on the earlier video, Nonzi was admitted. And so we're so glad that we're able to still do home-based care and healthcare center work. And the next video is going to tell us all about that.
I'm Yvonne Smart. I'm a carer at the healthcare center. We are dealing with all kinds of patients, HIV, cancer. They always say there's no other place like this place, like Living Hope. Because here we with the patient 24/7. You must have love for each and everyone. No, godly love, love for each other, friend, whatever love. You must have compassion and to be there for them, cry if they have to, cry with them. Everybody here that see to the patient as a whole and the family. That's why this place is like no other place, like no hospital, like nothing else. That's why I'm still here.
We thank you for Living Hope for helping us. They're eager to help the people, to go bath people, even to feed people. They're eager to do that to the people that can't do stuff for themselves. So we just want to say thank you for you, and thank you for Living Hope.
My name is Nazim. I'm at Living Hope, and couldn't walk when I came here, but when I came here I was here for 2 weeks. But now I'm walking. That's all I got to say.
Yes, it's important that we don't just do the right things, but that we also do it in the right way, to love people and to really love them. And I know some of you have guessed that the word could be love. Maybe it is. And I've got 2 hearts here because loving God and loving people is what we are to do. So now I want you to let me know which is the next balloon we should pop. We have a white one and a blue one. So you put your little remarks on Facebook. Tell us which is the
white or
one,
blue?
white or blue. And then
Okay.
let's see what the next letter is. And maybe we'll get the next letter. So can you get on doing that?
Just white or blue at this stage. And the first one that comes up is a little bit of a delay. So the first person who comes up, we'll take the white one from
Okay,
Victor.
let's take the white one.
Okay. Well,
Oh, let's see what letter that is. Okay, that was Rebecca. Okay.
okay, Rebecca.
Right, now let me pop it in.
Okay.
What letter is that?
It's
what is
H.
it? H. H-O-E. What do you think the word is? I wonder. H-O-E. And one more balloon to pop.
Yeah.
You know what? Living Hope, we seek to follow what Jesus has told us. To feed the hungry, to care for the sick, not only in hospital, but also people who are sick in the community. And we're going to listen to Bruce now, who was somebody that Living Hope cared for in the community.
2015 was when I found out about the MDR TB. It was quite painful because I wanted to hug my kids and I wanted to kiss them, but I couldn't. But I got through it. I just held on and I took my medicine every day, went for my injection. Although I didn't want to, I had to go through that for 6 months every day. Because looking at my kids, they still got a whole future ahead of them. And I need to be there to help them, help them to establish their dreams and goals in life. I met counselors, of Living Hope. They were quite an encouragement to me as well because, they would always help you to not lose focus. My advice would be to listen to what you are being taught and told by the staff of Living Hope. If you don't go accordingly to what you are being told, you can become a danger to yourself and as well as to other people. But Living Hope people, they were great help to me. I fought as hard as I could to better my life and to better the lives of others.
Well, isn't that amazing? Bruce wants to help his children to dream. And I know a lot of the children have been dreaming about the names. And I see Hope is high video on the comments and Shoe. So, and the bests are saying home. So, home, Shoe, Hope. We've still got one more video to go. But, Living Hope's also about trying to help children to dream, because we believe it is, as I said on the earlier video, better to build a whole child than mend a broken man.
Exactly.
And so we have a life skills program where we look after children after school in the clubs, and even though COVID has sort of messed all that up a bit, we are having clubs again. They're active, no more than 50 children in it, in all of the areas in which we work. They're up and running. Now, last year, Living Hope cared for about 9,000 children.
Exactly.
And so it's such a privilege. And you saw right in the very beginning, Graham Haller had started with clubs. And we're just going to watch a video now of some of the clubs and the movements happening in Masiphumelele.
those children playing and colouring, and that is something that you can become involved with. In every school holiday, except for 2 weeks over Christmas, Living Hope has children's holiday clubs, and we're always looking for lots of volunteers. And so if you are wanting to get involved, we invite you to become part of our Living Hope group.
Now who can be involved in helping in these kids' clubs?
All ages can come. You know what we've actually done? We've even had moms and dads and the children come.
And grannies and
The
grandpas.
whole family can come together.
Serve biscuits, and other kids can come and play with it.
It will be amazing.
Teenagers who don't know what to do in their holidays, any holiday season. This is a call. Guys, you want to serve God? You want to do a short-term missions trip? The Best spoke about how when their children went to Kurenberg, which was about 1.5 years ago with the Living Hope team and King of Kings team, how the children were impacted. And so we want to invite you. Maybe when you're filling your faith promise card on Saturday or Sunday, you should say, I want to go on a short-term missions trip, because there's a tick option for that.
Great. And they could go to Red Hill, which is just 14 kilometers from here, or they could serve in Ocean View, in Masipumalele, in Capricorn. So it's not far from home. You can still come home and sleep at home and have a great opportunity to serve God right on your doorstep.
Wow.
Doesn't have to cost you anything extra, and you can be serving God and making a difference in children's lives. So we have our last balloon, and that is a blue one. Let's see what letter is going to be in this one. Now,
I had to do that. Somebody had to scream. It is the word P.
P.
So H-O-P-E spells?
H-O-P-E spells.
We're a bit dyslexic here.
Yeah, there we go. Spells hope. Hope. And guys, that is what Living Hope is all about. Bringing hope to people who have no hope. There are so many people that are hurting for different reasons, because they're sick, they're addicted, they've been abused, they need help. And it is so wonderful that we at Living Hope can become dealers of hope.
That's right.
Giving people hope to live on, to be able to think positively, to have a dream. And the most important hope that we can give them is to know Jesus Christ in a personal way, so that they can come to know him. He can help them to live their lives here on earth, and that one day they go to be in heaven. Are you a dealer of hope? Today, we want to challenge you to become a dealer in hope. Listen to this next story about this little young girl and her baby. No hope.
Some years ago, our chaplain was called to the local hospital, to the maternity ward, to go and see a 14-year-old young girl who'd just given birth. The nurse who called her said, "This young girl's very depressed. Please come and see her." And in our country, the baby is next to the mother in a little crib. And they put the name of the baby above the crib. And as our chaplain walked into this maternity ward and saw the mother and the crib, she saw the name of the baby, Aliku Itemba, which means no hope. Now, can you imagine calling your child no hope? No hope, come here. No hope, go there. And so our chaplain startled and said, "Who named this child? I mean, don't give a child a name like this." And this little 14-year-old girl sort of lifted her head out from under the sheets and she said, "I did." She said, "Why on earth would you name a child no hope?" He said, "Well, you see, it's like this. My mother died with HIV and AIDS. I moved in with my auntie. She died with AIDS. So I moved in with some kind neighbors who I didn't really know. And they had a 16-year-old son. And he said to me, "Girl, you got to pay to stay here. And the way you pay to stay here is by giving me sex." Well, soon, she said, I found I was pregnant and found out I was HIV positive. When I told him, he said, "Girl, get out of this house. You've brought HIV into this house. We don't want to know you." And so a very kind neighbor a little further down the street took me in. But she literally had one room which had a double bed in it. And she is a single mom with 2 children. And so she said to me, "You can stay here until your baby is born. But then 5 of us can't share a double bed. And so you'll need to go somewhere else when your baby is born." She said, "Yesterday I came into this hospital. I gave birth to my baby. And in an extremely rare condition, the baby came out of the womb in an advanced stage of AIDS." So she said, "I have nowhere to go tomorrow when they discharge me. I've got AIDS, and now my baby has got AIDS. You want to know why I called my baby No Hope? That's why." Well, our chaplain got hold of me a few minutes later after she left the hospital, got onto the phone. We found a place for her to stay in the church because people had learned this is our God-given opportunity and responsibility. And soon we had Tameka in one of our workshops producing jewelry. Soon she had the dignity of earning an income and being able to rent her own little shanty. And 3 months later, I walked into the Living Hope buildings and our chaplain called me and she said, "Pastor John, come." She said, "Here's Tameka. She has something to tell you." And Tameka said, "You people have shown me Jesus. Now please help me find him so that he is mine too." A few months later, she walked back into the center and she said, "Will someone please take me to the Department of Home Affairs?" Now, Home Affairs is where we register births and marriages and deaths. And they said, "Tameka, why do you want to go to Home Affairs?" She said, "I want to change my baby's name." I said, "What do you want to call your baby?" She said, "I want to change my baby's name to Leletu, which means the Lord is my hope." And you see, that story best describes what Living Hope is all about. We seek to take people who have no hope and introduce them to Jesus so that they become people of dignity and self-worth, so they can say, "The Lord is my hope."
That video often moves me to tears, the story. But that's what Living Hope is about. Seeking to take those who have no hope and introducing them to the Lord is my hope, so that they can say with confidence, "I know Jesus as my Savior." And that's what Living Hope is all about, taking people from no hope to the Lord is my hope. And now, of course, if you heard it right at the beginning, Living Hope in 3 days' time is formally 20 years old. And I'm going to run you through a PowerPoint of some of the history and some of the impact that Living Hope has been able to have. And to God be the glory for all that he has done over the last 20 years. So here we are in King of Kings Missions Week, celebrating 20 years, and I love it when a plan comes together, that these two things tie together. So, who are we? Living Hope is a Christian ministry based in Cape Town and in Imsamoshli, East London, started by King of Kings, right here in this place. In the 20 years that we've been around, we've grown from a little organization with a half-time worker to quite a complex, big organization with over 200 staff, and consistently reaching over 100,000 people per year over the last couple of years. And we have a strong principle of employing local people who live and work in that area. And now we're in 8 geographic areas in which we serve. And so our vision and our mission, we're very clear about our mission and vision. We're to reach people for Christ, bringing hope. That's why we've played on all the word hope, and breaking the despair of poverty and disease. And as a part of our mission, we're here ultimately to spread the good news of Jesus Christ in a life-changing way and to encourage people to follow Christ. And then we're also here to play a vital role in the prevention and care and treatment of those infected and affected by HIV and AIDS. And that's where we began, but then we added the words and other chronic diseases. And so we're treating all sorts of chronic diseases, and then to undertake community development and through education and social and other health-related programs. Now, who we serve is quite amazing. We serve these 8 geographic areas, but I want to take a moment just to explain to you what the context of the Western Cape is like currently. And these were pre-COVID stats. 9% of the people in the Western Cape are HIV positive. And 40% of those aren't taking the antiretrovirals. This is pre-COVID. 55% of the injuries in the Western Cape are alcohol related. And we saw that in COVID. I actually remember the Kruger head of trauma saying that their workload had dropped by 70%. 37% of the crime in our area, in the Western Cape, is drug related. 55% of our young people fail to get matric. 30% of our young people are unemployed. TB, tuberculosis, is a massive problem. Do you know that in the time of COVID, we have lost across South Africa just over, I think it was 15,008 people yesterday. But in the same time, we have lost 36,000 people to TB. And so TB is still a big problem. And Living Hope works very strongly. And I'm happy to say in our areas where we work, those numbers are significantly lower and the follow-up is better. So, what do we do as we connect people at Living Hope? We work with our clients and in these 8 communities. We work with government and other non-profit partners. And we have a lot of wonderful other NGOs that we network with. We work with lots of volunteers, and lots of our staff, in fact, have started off as a volunteer. We have a wonderful board of trustees, the majority of whom are from this church. And we celebrate the fact that our senior pastor Neil is on it, and Tracy is the chairperson of our board, and so we could go through it. We have others wonderfully committed people who are watching this video as well on this board of Living Hope. 225 staff at the moment. Right now as we talk, 225 staff. And then we have partner churches. And King of Kings is like an anchor partner church. And we're so glad that we have a local church. I believe reaching out to the poor and the needy needs to be local church driven. And that's what we see here. And then we have many wonderful churches around the world that we network with, probably about 25 all in all that we network with. And then a lot of businesses and individuals, both locally and here, help support it. Now, about our history. We actually began in the seed in some ways in 1993 and 94 when we purchased ground in Masipumalele for the Masipumalele Baptist Church. When I say we, that was King of Kings. In 2000, we began King of Kings reaching out into the school with English, grade 2 English, and we acquired the main campus in July, and we started to register Living Hope, and on the 12th of September 2000, Living Hope was formally registered. 20 years old, and some of the balloons were for that as well. In 2002 to 2003, we expanded into Ocean View and Red Hill. In 2004, we opened our homeless building and recovery center in Muizenberg and opened the healthcare center at the end of the year for HIV and AIDS patients at that time. In 2006, we expanded into Capricorn, started an entrepreneurial program, and an amazing thing happened where this church was blessed with being the most courageous church in the world in HIV and AIDS leadership. That award was given by World Vision internationally and the Willow Creek Association and one of the Willow Creek Leadership Associations, and it was an honor to receive it on behalf of King of Kings. And then we began, in 2009, we began our farming program, and we purchased the farm behind Living Hope in 2013, behind the main campus. And then in 2018, we purchased a property in Overcome Heights. We've been working there for about 10 years, waiting for the perfect property, and then it came up. And last year, our farm in Mzimoshli in the Eastern Cape, where we have a committed staff for the last 7 years there in Mzimoshli. So, something about our programs. We began with one program. Right now, we've got 51 programs. Isn't that incredible? You can see them. I'm not going to read them all. COVID has just slotted into there in a moment. We've got mainly healthcare, family strengthening, life skills, addiction recovery, and skills development programs. 51 of them. And in fact, one of them relates to conception and moms and babies. And this past week, we have just signed an MOU again with King of Kings and Hope for Babies, and sponsored through generous folk linked with Hope for Babies. We have now got a counsellor in False Bay Hospital.
And also the greater area. She's only not limited to that.
And she is saying, moms, you don't need to abort your babies. Isn't that wonderful? So actually it's 52 programs.
It is.
52 programs, there you go. So
thanks to King of Kings and Hope for Babies.
Yeah, and something of the impact of what God has done. In 2002, 1 part-time employee. 2001 part-time employee, 2005, 53 employees and 6,000 people reached. 2010, 160 employees and 52,000 people reached. 2015, 214 employees and 46,000 people reached. And last year, this last financial year, 195 employees and 102,000 people reached. To God be the glory. And I just want to show you the next slide, because this talks about how Living Hope is sought to be good stewards of the money we have, how we've increased our efficiency. In 2005, it cost us 1,000 rand to reach 1.5 people, as it were. In 2010, it cost us 1,000 rand to reach 3 people, the same in 2015. But last year and this year, we were able, 250 rand a person to reach, or 4 people, 1,000 rand. How have we done that? Through good strategic planning, through good metrics, through good behaviors, through a good work culture, through quality improvement programs, and we have become more sustainable and more capable. To God be the glory. So what is the legacy that we leave behind over these 20 years? We're linked to biblical values and national strategy. We align ourselves with the government strategy. We have a rigorous accountability system. Integrity is non-negotiable in Living Hope. We're devoted to the gospel and who we are, and we seek to be responsive and innovative to people and the programs. And one of our innovative, responsive programs was COVID. And so I'll talk to you about that in a moment. But 600,000 people reached over the last 20 years. Praise God. To God be the glory for that. And so with God's help, we will continue to seek to bring hope and break despair. We will continue to find those who need our services. We'll continue to reach all ages through our program and tell each person the good news. So you can partner with us. You can pray for life, Living Hope. You can give. And you can give through the Faith Promise program, which I'm going to be talking about on Saturday and Sunday. But I want to encourage you to be ready with a pen and a piece of paper and ready with your clicks, because the most wonderful way to support missions is to give as you trust God in faith, to give you money to give away. And so you can volunteer to work with us. And maybe you weren't aware of some of those programs. We'd love to have you help with Living Hope and sign up for our newsletter. Now, just a quick thing as I close this on COVID-19. Do you know we've been able to do over 300,000 interventions? We were able to completely reconfigure all of our staff. You know, we had so-called non-essential staff. We put them all into healthcare, and everybody, together with literally over 100 volunteers, many of them from this church, drivers, deliveries of medicine, helping, delivering food. It was just a wonderful coming together of this community and churches together. And we're so glad that we have learned to be nimble over the years. And you might see a watermark of a runner. The Bible talks about being prepared to run. And that's who we are at Living Hope. We see, here's an opportunity. Let's grab it and go for God. And so, yeah, we've been able to screen over 24,000 people for the COVID-19 virus. And so we're so grateful. And I want to thank you. It's been wonderful to be with you this evening. And we're about a minute or two left or so. I don't know if there's any quick question anybody wants to pop up on Facebook, or any comment that they quickly want to make. I want to leave this last moment or two just for you to have an opportunity to comment or ask a question if you have such anything like that. And we'll try and answer those at this point. So while that's coming up, I want to say thank you to Damien and Tristan and Pastor Neil and all those who helped put this together this evening. Avril and I have enjoyed it. We've had fun.
It's been great fun just being able to share with you what God has done. You know, maybe you're a boy or a girl and you're thinking, what am I going to do with my life? Let me say, there is nothing more exciting than to give your life to God and let Him just use you and be open to whatever He wants you to do. It's so exciting knowing that you're doing what God has called you to do.
Well, I think time is up, and so I'm going to close this out with some prayer. And remember, join us on Saturday morning. It is at 10 o'clock Saturday morning, and that will be on Zoom. And so join us then, and a Sunday morning, 9:30 for the service. I have the privilege of preaching at both of those occasions. We're going to interact with missionaries. We're going to hear their testimonies and stories. We're going to have a great time celebrating what God is doing, and join us then. Let's pray together. Father, thank you so much that you, Jesus, are our living hope. And through you, we have the opportunity to introduce many to Jesus as the living hope. Thank you for what you've done for Living Hope here in the Greater Fishhook Valley. And thank you for this time of celebration of 20 years of ministry. To you, Lord, be all the glory for all that you have done. And all God's people said, Amen. Amen. God bless you. Thanks for being with you. And look forward to chatting again on Saturday and Sunday.